Are you struggling with controlling your recoil in Apex? I have the solution for you. This new trainer lets you practice recoil control in a completely new way and will give you laser-like aim. No, this is not jitter aiming or a script or some cheat. It's a tool and method to turbocharge your practice. And yes, it works on controller. We are calling this method recoil strafing. You can find the trainer on apexrecoilstrafing.com, and it will be linked in the Apex resources and websites you should know article on the movement wiki. The site gives you audio cues and a pattern display. Open the pop-out to see it while in Apex. The goal is to teach you strafe patterns to control your recoil. The direction switching of the strafe coincides with the broad left-right movements of the recoil of a gun. The flat line roughly goes left, right, right. So that's what the pattern display is instructing you to do with your strafe. With your aim, you do the counter movement to stay on target. But why do we want to use this? And what about traditional recoil control? Let me explain. Because this training method is even more genius than you might think. If your aim moves enough in Apex, it will reduce recoil. I'm not controlling recoil much here, only following the target, and recoil just gets drastically reduced because I move my aim enough. This was probably implemented by the developers to make it easier to shoot targets while also tracking them. This is called recoil smoothing and is the same underlying mechanic that gets exploited with something called jitter aiming. But if you're not aiming at someone moving across your screen, you don't want to have your wrist explode because of jitter aiming, or are on controller, people figured out a different method to activate recoil smoothing. Use strafe to one side and move your aim to the other side to counter the strafe. This aim movement is then enough to reduce or even remove recoil via the developer intended recoil smoothing. But this has several problems. The slower your aim moves, the less recoil gets reduced. On close targets, your aim movement is large to stay on target. The further away your target is, the smaller the motion of your aim will be, further and further reducing the amount of recoil smoothing. So you will have to substitute with traditional recoil control anyways. Continuously strafing into the same direction also makes you a super predictable and easy target. And if you are in a more confined space, there often isn't enough room to keep strafing. So if strafing is good, because it can reduce recoil via recoil smoothing, but we need to strafe back and forth to not be an easy target, and we need to learn traditional recoil control as well, why not combine the two and implement back and forth strafing into our traditional recoil control to get the benefits of both. That is recoil strafing and what a recoil strafing trainer will teach you. By strafing into the same direction as the horizontal movement of the recoil, we maximize the effects of recoil smoothing. This also makes sure that the general left-right corrections you do with your aim will stay the same between traditional recoil control and the new recoil strafing. And because the aim corrections stay consistent, you can also use the recoil strafing trainer to just practice traditional recoil control without strafing. As we just learned, that we'll need that as well. For that, it's the same as with recoil strafing. Use your aim to do the opposite of what the pattern display is showing you. You still have to get used to the smaller nuances and the vertical part of recoil. But this is the most intuitive way to practice traditional recoil control I have ever seen in Apex, and reminds me of this old Japanese way to learn recoil patterns with piano melodies. My routine now looks like this. Look at the pattern and get used to which direction a pattern starts with, and the rough length of the directions. And then go back and forth. 10 to 20 magazines of pure classical recoil control, 10 to 20 magazines of recoil strafing at different ranges to get used to the differing amounts of recoil smoothing. In between, I do a few magazines of only looking at the pattern display to make sure my timing is on point and don't even look at my crosshair. After enough rounds, I close the pop-out, so I only listen to the audio cues, and eventually turn even those off to get used to how it will feel in-game. If I feel like I'm starting to make mistakes, I turn the pattern display back on and repeat the steps. This will teach you full-on recoil strafing to absolutely melt unsuspecting enemies at close and middle ranges. But if you have to switch up your strafing pattern, cause you're limited in space or want to implement other strafing mechanics like dodging and strafe aiming, or go for longer range targets, you will still get the slight benefits of recoil smoothing, but will have the backup of also knowing traditional recoil control. So no matter what situation you are in, you have a super solid understanding of all the involved mechanics to combine however you like, and stack all future improvements on top of a quality foundation. If you're on console, you can open the site on your phone, study the pattern to learn it, and then just listen to the audio cues on your phone. And some acknowledgements. The original idea for recoil strafing is not new, but has been so niche till now that it didn't even have a name beyond just lumping it in with recoil smoothing. And it has never been explained in this much detail and made so easily available to everyone. Raven SHP is the actual developer of the trainer, and I worked with him to polish up the user experience and design. The original strafe patterns come from R99, and he contributed to the trainer as well. On the left is a more general recoil control video from Arn about when and why to implement it with more unique strafes into your gameplay. And on the right, an instruction video explaining the different functions of the recoil strafing trainer if you need that. Let me know what you think of the recoil strafing trainer and have fun.